Today's story is about one of the greatest prophets and medicine men from the Luhya people, which is a Bantu tribe situated in western Kenya, north of Lake Victoria. His name was Maina Nalukale, and even though his exact date or year of birth is unknown, we do know that he was born to Nalukale and 𝗲𝗡𝗣𝗧 around the late 18th century. Just like all other Luhya seers and medicine men who had come before him, Maina's role in the community included acting as a custodian of the tribe's traditional custom, culture, and religion. But before looking at the interesting personal life of Maina Nalukale, let us take a few minutes to look at how he represented his tribe's fascinating traditional religion and beliefs. The tribe believes in one God, a supreme being they call 𝗬𝗣𝗣𝗥𝗧, who they credit as the caretaker, provider, and creator of the world. So Maina Nalukale would lead his tribe during worship sessions at a small house they call 𝗬𝗨𝗇, which basically acted as a church or shrine. The tribe also prayed early in the morning facing east, with Maina Nalukale holding the religious 𝗬𝗨𝗇, which was a horn-like vessel that was filled with beer from finger millet and water. Maina Nalukale would usually drink from the vessel and spit in all directions while praying and saying these words. Of course, I cannot pronounce all the terms in the native linguistic without butchering the language, so here is a translated version. God, the creator of heaven and earth, you have woken us up. Take care of us throughout the day and bring us back to our homes safely. During these prayer sessions, Maina Nalukale would also take the opportunity and predict if anything particularly essential was about to happen in or to the community. Important events at the time included rain, war, and drought. Here's a great example. People in the Luhya community believed that if the sky in the east turned extremely red in the morning, then it was a sign that something really bad was about to take place in the community, and it was up to the religious leaders, in this case Maina Nalukale, to evaluate the situation and discern what the upcoming event is going to be. Just like in the neighboring tribes, Luhya ancestors also played a major role in the community. Their roles included acting as intercessors between humans and 𝗬𝗣𝗣𝗥𝗧, the one true God, while at the same time protecting the living from bad evil spirits. In return, the community would remember the ancestors during village offerings, rituals, and libations. I also have a great example for you in this case. After a sacrifice had been offered to the supreme high god, Maina Nalukale and other seers would take a piece of meat and place it inside the shrine. And if they came back later to check and found ants surrounding the meat, then it was a sign the ancestors had accepted the sacrifice. If not, well, then it was a sign that ancestors had refused it, and it was up to Maina Nalukale to go through a divination process and determine why the ancestors were angry. With that in mind, Maina Nalukale's community still has a religious group called 𝗬𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗥𝗧, which still observes some of these rituals up to this day. And since Maina's death, they have been headed by other prophets such as 𝗬𝗨𝗣𝗍𝗪 and 𝗬𝗨𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗥𝗧. I will soon create a video touching on all these prophets, so make sure you subscribe to receive the notification. That said, Maina Nalukale still remains one of the greatest prophets among the Luhya, mainly because he also prophesied the coming of the white man followed by an extremely long snake, which later proved to be the Kenya-Uganda railway. With that in mind, let us look at the interesting personal life of Maina, and if you like the video, kindly do not forget to smash the like button, subscribe and leave a comment below. You can also go ahead and share the video with your friends, as this will help the channel grow and allow me to make more videos in the future. Anyway, back to Maina Nalukale's personal life. In order for you to understand this legend's childhood and later life, I have to mention that the Luhya people are divided into 18 different sub-tribes, namely Wanga, 𝗤𝗧𝗧, Tereki, Tachoni, Samia, Nyole, Nyala, Marama, Maraching, Maragoli, Kisa, Kayo, Kabras, Isuka, Idako, Banyore, Gisu, and Bukusu. Maina Nalukale was from the Bukusu sub-tribe, and back in the day, the tribe lived in Silikwa, a rocky and hilly but fertile location where the tribe found it conducive to rear cattle and enjoy farming. However, due to regular conflicts with neighboring communities who included the Teso and Bamie Bakumama, the Bukusu decided to move downward toward another location by the name 𝗣𝗟𝗧𝗧, but they found that 𝗣𝗟𝗧𝗧 had already been infested by mosquitoes and tsetse flies, so they kept moving as far as Bukulo, Kunakatandi, Soloko, and Nalukale. It is at Nalukale that Maina was born. Unfortunately, it was also the same location that his father died, hence the name. Shortly after the death of Maina Nalukale's dad, the leaders at the time, who were Makutukutu and Sanjomolu, decided to lead the tribe to 𝗍𝗟𝗍𝗍𝗍 and lastly Bukaya, where the tribe set permanent residence. This was also the location that Maina Nalukale reached adulthood and even underwent circumcision. That said, thanks to his abilities, Maina's fame in his community as well as surrounding villages grew so much that he overshadowed that of Sanjomolu, who, as I just mentioned, was the leader of the Bukusu at the time. So, in fear of the tension getting out of control, the Bukusu village elders decided to create a new clan, one headed by Maina Nalukale. And this was regardless of the fact Maina wasn't really interested in any leadership position. Anyway, Maina underwent the required rituals and sacrifices, after which he was allowed to leave Bukaya with a group of his most loyal followers and believers and went to settle in Sikulusi Bukusu, which is a Bukusu hill around present-day Tororo in Nandi County. Peace prevailed under Maina's leadership, which wasn't surprising since he was an amazing diplomatic ruler with practical wisdom. His community's economic state prospered as well, which further meant that his leadership skills were now held in high regard by his neighboring communities, who included the Byobo, Bauchuchi, Barobakinisu, and Basawinja. And that's not all. For the first time in centuries, the region was so peaceful that the sons and daughters of the land were even allowed to intermarry with former adversaries. It was indeed a rare glimpse of peace. However, as Maina Nalukale was busy uniting the world, shame was brewing in his own house. At the height of Maina Nalukale's leadership, he had 2 sons and 8 wives. His first son was called Namunguba and his youngest one Okulunya. And while the youngest son was a calm and obedient fellow, the eldest son had always been a rebellious person and even had a reputation of being quite the ladies' man in the community. What no one saw coming, however, is that Namunguba's inability to inhibit his reckless behavior is what would eventually result in the destruction of his father's household. Shortly after getting circumcised, Namunguba got entangled in a love triangle with his father's 8th wife, who also happened to be his father's favorite. A short while later, Maina heard about the issue from fellow elders at a beer party, and that wasn't even the worst part. To add salt to injury, Namunguba had apparently visited Sanjamolu for blessing so he could continue the affair with his stepmom. And if you remember, Sanjamolu was the reason a new clan had to be created in order to avoid a conflict between him and Maina Nalukale. Needless to say, Maina Nalukale was shaken by this turn of events, but as always, he maintained his cool and started devising a plan that would allow him to catch his own son in the act. The following day, Maina pretended he was going to sleep in a different hut, but shortly after midnight, he woke up his fellow elders and they forcefully made way into the suspected wife's hut, only to find his son going all the way with his wife. Now, according to Bukusu traditions, if a man catches another in such a compromising position with his wife, then he is supposed to lock them in the house until the following morning so elders can decide what the punishment will be for the intruding man. And after passing the sentence, the elders are also supposed to perform a cleansing ceremony the Luhyas call Hulesiluki. The Luhya legend states that failure to perform the ritual will immensely anger the community's guardian ancestors. On the other hand, if a man catches another man with his wife and the intruding man tries to escape, then an unwritten law allows the husband to go as far as killing him without any risk of ritual impurity. Now, back to the story of Maina Nalukale and his son Namunguba. After the break of day, Maina instructed his guards to beat the drum in a sequence that signified everyone was supposed to gather for an emergency meeting. Less than 10 minutes later, Maina's homestead was crowded, and even elders from 4 different tribes were in attendance. The 4 tribes included Masaaba, Barobauchuchi, Bamia, and of course, the Bukusu. After everyone had settled, Maina Nalukale stood up to speak. "Dear elders and tribesmen, my own son has dressed in my cloak. As I speak, he is inside the house with my youngest wife. Now, in your wisdom, what do you suggest that I do?" Needless to say, the crowd instantly went into a state of wild commotion, and after all the elders present were done consulting among themselves, the first one stood up to give his verdict. It was Nakitembo, the elder man from Masaaba tribe, and he was visibly enraged by the shame that had befallen the community, so he suggested that Namunguba be killed for disgracing his father. The second elder to stand was Mingichi from the Barwa clan, and he agreed with Nakitembo that Namunguba should be put to death. Miriko from the Bamia clan, however, disagreed, and his reasoning was as follows. "A woman is like a flowing river filled with clean water to quench the thirst of the entire community. Therefore, Namunguba cannot be killed for drinking water from the community river." And that wasn't even the most interesting reply. After the Bukusu elders were done with the brief consultation among themselves, they chose an elder by the name of Mwala to represent them. And you have to remember that the Bukusu elders are the ones under the rule of Maina Nalukale. But since Maina was a diplomatic leader, he valued each elder's decision during every serious community affair. Now, the representative from the Bukusu tribe had the following to say. According to Bukusu traditions, when a person grows old, then he is allowed to give his youngest wife to his eldest son. So even though Namunguba has taken that which has not been given to him, all we can do is perform the Hulesiluki ritual and cleanse his wayward behavior. But we cannot take his life, because that will go against customary expectations. As you all know, the killing of a kinsman is greatly frowned upon by our god and ancestors. Most people at the gathering agreed with the last 2 sentences. The only problem is, Maina undergoing the Suluki ritual with his son wasn't a customarily acceptable option either, because it wasn't supposed to be taken by people with close blood ties. Nonetheless, since Bukusu elders outnumbered all the other elders at the gathering, it was clear that the final ruling was sympathetic to Namunguba. So at the end of the meeting, a disappointed and devastated Maina stood up to pour his final prophetic curses and blessings to every community in attendance at the meeting. To the 𝗣𝗪𝗣𝗣𝗢, he said, "You, 𝗣𝗪𝗪𝗣𝗣𝗢, you have stood with me during this trying time, and therefore I bless you. You will live in this land forever. You will farm. You will have a lot of wealth, and your adversaries will never attack you. In fact, you will flourish in peace like the 𝗬𝗪𝗪𝗣𝗪 tree, and your seeds will fall everywhere. I bless you." To the 𝗣𝗪𝗪𝗣𝗪𝗣𝗧, he said, "You too have stood with me, and therefore I bless you. Your territory and cattle will greatly increase, and you will enjoy a long spell of peace and prosperity. I bless you." He then turned to the 𝗣𝗪𝗪𝗍 and said, "You 𝗣𝗪𝗪𝗍𝗘𝗔𝗦𝗧, I curse you. I curse you so you shall become a wandering tribe in your own land. Your home will be taken by your adversaries, and you will not know any prosperity because any wealth you hold in your hand shall slip through your fingers like the termites. I curse you." And finally, to his own tribe, the 𝗣𝗪𝗪𝗪, he said, "You 𝗣𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 have not stood with me after I've been wronged, and therefore I curse you. You will forever keep migrating from one place to the next with your enemies chasing after you. You will never circumcise your kids in one place, and you shall go around Mount 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗣𝗪 3 times. However, on the 3rd trip, you will meet the mighty snake 𝗣𝗪𝗪𝗣𝗍, which will stop your further migration, but you will still never know peace. Leadership will always slip through your fingers when you try to get it." The snake he talked about in this passage turned out to be the Kenya-Uganda Railway. After concluding the meeting with his blessings and curses, Maina Nalukale took his eldest stool and barren wife called Namusambia and left, never to be seen again. There are 2 different competing versions regarding Maina Nalukale's disappearance. The first one states that he left Bukusu land and trekked all the way to Mount Kenya in the east, where he continued to live among the Kikuyu. His mother came from present-day Nyahururu, and back then, Mount Kenya was called 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗢𝗥𝗧 tribesmen. According to the second explanation, Maina miraculously constructed his new home under a nearby river. Legend says that Bukusu elders had created a search party made up of warriors, and after many days of no success, they heard a strange voice calling to them from down the stream. And as the warriors came closer, Maina's voice echoed, "Don't waste your time searching for me. I've transformed and can no longer come home or lead a normal life. Why don't you come close and witness what I'm talking about?" Upon getting close enough, the warriors reported that Maina's body had transformed. His head still looked like a human's, but the rest of his body looked like that of a snake. They all immediately ran back to the village to deliver the news, and a few days later, in line with Bukusu traditions, the Bukusu elders brought beer and slaughtered the largest bull in the village at the spot Maina had been spotted by the warriors. Also, after their drinking spree, they took the beer brewing pot and placed it on top of Sikuyo Seba Bukusu, which is present-day Mount Tororo, and the pot instantly transformed into a rock and started gushing out water. It still gushes out water to this day. The spot on top of Mount Tororo has also been used as a shrine by followers of the dini ya Musambo, which is the Luhya religion we talked about at the beginning of the post. That's it for today. If you like the content, kindly do not forget to smash the like button below. This will help the channel grow and allow me to make more videos in the future. Also, if you have a topic you think I should cover, do not hesitate to leave a comment below. Thank you, and see you again next week.